Hi, everyone. Welcome to this evening's presentation. I'm Nicole Peterson. I'm sitting here right beside Andy Marbitzer, who is the president of Visionary.
Hola.
We just got back from Acapulco. We had an extended stay there, and it was a lovely time, absolutely breathtaking. So if anybody's ever thinking about going, we highly recommend it. It was just what the doctor ordered, I guess you could say, from a busy, hectic months of getting Visionary launched in the past. I guess we started this, it's about 10 months ago. So it's been an amazing 10 months, but Andy's going to talk a little bit about, or I guess you want me to start?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, well, welcome to tonight's call with Visionary and Capricoin. I'll talk a little bit about the management team here, but we've got, let's see. Oh, you know what? Hold on, guys. I just realized I'm not sharing my screen. There, that's probably better. Now everybody can see the screen, right? Okay.
Go to the chat.
Yes, I think we're good. All right. Okay. All right, so these are the co-owners in the management team. We've got Ladislav Pastor on the left, who is the CFO. And he has actually managed and owned and sold 80 retail stores in the Asian region, and very successful in Europe. And then we've got Frodeberg, who is our CEO, who is a successful previous network marketer. And we've got Andy Marbitzer here, who has a varied experience of, 20 years in and around Wall Street and a very successful 15 years in network marketing. He's been a master distributor twice before, just a huge asset to the team. Of course, I'm a little bit biased. And then we've got Jesper Benson here from Denmark, who is our strategic on the advisory board of Visionary. Also, again, another very successful network marketer and good friends with Frode. Jesper is actually the person who introduced Visionary to Andy, and so we're very grateful to him for that as well. I think it's important to go in a little bit of the global economy and where we're at today. I think most people feel that the budget's a little bit tighter than maybe it possibly was 20 years ago. When we go to the grocery store, we're not purchasing as many items as we used to for the same amount of dollars. And that's inflation. We all know that word. It's such an evil word, but and we've kind of come to accept it. But it's getting to a point where most families are living paycheck to paycheck, and Andy's actually going to talk about some statistics tonight that are shocking, and that many aren't aware of really how severe and how devastating this problem is becoming.
And just so you know, let's start with inflation. As you understand macroeconomics and different mechanisms that the government use to control money, one of them is inflation. And when you boil down that big fancy word, it really comes down to one word: tax. Inflation is tax. It's just a very deceiving, very innocuous way of taxing the people, and it's typically manipulated by the governments of the world, inflation. So we look at the global economy. Do we want to get into the list right now, since we're talking about global economy? Because the next slide's inflation, and then ultimately, you look at, we found this website that did a great job, this Grant Cardone, financial warnings everywhere. And he goes on to say he's not an alarmist and something, but he's got some I'm a very numbers-oriented guy, because numbers typically don't lie unless they come from, unless you look at unemployment and those types of things. Numbers can be manipulated, but for the most part, numbers are very factual, or in my mind, if you look at this, 76% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. One of the reasons that we built Visionary was because we know that people live month to month. We know that 21st century mandatory auto ship, product-based mandatory auto ship platforms are. Their volume is dwindling. It's attrition marketing. And because typically people cannot build a business. I'll just call apples apples. They struggle with the ability of building a huge group and following and networking of people. Typically, or sometimes it's the comp plan, sometimes it's the product, sometimes it's the management. These are all things that affect the success of an individual. So when we set out to build Visionary, even in the binary compensation plan, we took the minimum, industry minimums on qualification for sponsorship to earn commissions in the binary distribution arm. But the whole point of what we're talking about, 76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. That means if anything in your life goes awry, if you have any flashpoints, any adversity whatsoever, you're living on credit cards or you're flat out in problem mode real quick. So in this 21st century that we live, there's a lot of volatility. There's a lot of unemployment. There's a lot of corporate 500 companies going out of business. The mom and pop shops struggle mightily to turn a dollar, turn a profit, employ people. They're an integral part of our whole ecosystem. Our whole GDP is the small business owner. They make up about 52% of the GDP on a annual basis here in the United States. But there's a lot of things that work against a merchant, like the highest corporate tax rates in the world. You wonder why, company A would send its product abroad to have it manufactured, because they can produce widget A fractionally, meaning for pennies on the dollar than what they can here in the United States. Because we have some of the, here up in Canada, I think their minimum wage is like $11 or $12. They just raised it in the United States. Now we have mandatory health care. We've got the highest corporate tax rates. We've got every kind of encumbrance known to man to really thwart the efforts of these small businesses. And most businesses, small businesses, go out of business within their first 5 years. And the number one reason is because they're undercapitalized. Think of what Visionary is in our distribution arm. You can start Visionary, for pennies on the dollar, virtually no capitalization required. We've built the websites. You have a turnkey worldwide platform to earn income, share with others. We'll have the marketing system up here in the next couple of weeks that we're working on right now. So you've got to look at what is a plan B, what's alternative income. It's network marketing in a nutshell. These are all diversification strategies you need to survive the next decade or two. 62% of Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings account. People always say, well, and I might as well just tackle, some people look at the external value of Capricoin versus the cost internally. What they fail to recognize is that's linear thinking. That is not comparing apples to apples. Visionary offers you so many more values and benefits than just mining. We'll have alternative and additional products that we'll bring on in the future. One of the reasons we went down to Acapulco was for that fact, to vet people, to learn about dual residency, about dual citizenship. There was a huge precious metals company there that offered 15 different types of precious metals with an annual percentage in return. Now, I can say that because I'm speaking of their company, because we don't sell investments. We can't sell Capricorn. We do sell mining and mining time that will ultimately, you will acquire Capricorn, but we legally cannot sell Capricorn. That would be illegal. But what we can do is bring on strategic partners, one of those being a precious metals company that, if you look over the last 15 years, they represent about 15 different precious metals, not just gold and silver and palladium and platinum and those types. I mean some industrial metals that, if you look over the last decade and a half, their values have gone up 10 to 15%. That is a real life diversification type product that I'm very interested in. And quite frankly, I'll probably fly to Panama and go look at their storage facilities. They've got secure vaulting in Panama and in Switzerland, and I believe it was Singapore. So we're going to be adding additional products. So when I look at Visionary, guys, Visionary as an MLM, think of it this way. I can't tell you, I think Nicole and I in the last 10 years, or between the two of us in just the last 5 years, we've probably been in 4 different companies. Now, I can't name those companies, but I can tell you that we spent thousands and thousands of dollars up front and got no product whatsoever. I can think of one where we spent, was it $6,000 or $12,000, where you didn't even get a product. You got a card that gave you benefits and values, but it wasn't, like 6 cases of juice. It wasn't a physical product that was sent to your door. It was online marketing and those types of things, but we didn't receive anything for our membership, other than a welcome aboard. I was with another precious metal company. I think I spent $2,000 or $3,000 and got $100 worth of the product. So when you do just basic math with mining with Visionary right now, so many people say, well, Andy, it's less expensive for me to buy Capricoin on the external exchange. And I say, great, go do it. And they're saying like, well, I don't know how to do it. Exactly. One of the products that we offer right here, right now, is an educational platform that's going to allow people to diversify, to have an international savings account, to have monies not pegged to a dollar, to have monies not pegged to any one currency, the ability to interchange currency into any other fiat currency, meaning crypto to fiat. We offer you a worldwide platform to operate a business with no capitalization, no experience, no specialized computer. We do all of that for you. Think of the value of Visionary when the bank holds your money and you can't get it out of the bank. Or let's say the dollar dies and they revaluate it. Or let's say there's a bank bail-in and they just flat out take your money. How valuable is cryptocurrency now? So just do basic math. You come in a silver package, you get 16 slots. Let's say you get 5 coins or 10 coins. That's 80 to 160 coins that are worth right now, right around $1, 80 cents, somewhere in there. But guys, there's so much more of Visionary. Visionary is about acquiring Capricoin educationally to acquire it externally, but it's about diversification. What happens when like in Greece or a lot of, I think there's been 12 different companies or countries around the world in the last 5 years that have had capital controls that limited the people's own money, meaning they couldn't withdraw it. They would limit how much you could withdraw, or they just flat out took the money. There's been several countries around the world where these retirement savings are getting just abused by governments. They don't ask, they take. Now, let's say you got $25,000 sitting in your savings account, and the government comes in and says, oh, we're going to take 50% of your money. They don't need to ask you. And technically, it's not your money, it's the bank's. I hate to say that, but technically, it is. If you're storing things in safety deposit box in a bank, get it out of there. Right now, cash is king, precious metals is king, cryptocurrency is the extenuation of both of those because it allows you the movement of money at any amount, anytime, without central authority. Think how valuable Visionary is in acquiring Capricoins when the bank closes your savings account or your checking account, and you can't use your credit cards. You can't use an ATM, or they limit how much you can use. Think about it as a insurance, a financial insurance. You have home insurance, health insurance, boat, car, gazebo, whatever you insure in your life that you may never, ever use. Unless you get in a wreck, your house burns down. Do you get that money back for all the premiums you've paid for decades? No. The difference with financial insurance and cryptocurrency is this. That insurance is your own insurance. It's like a self-directed 401k for a Roth or something like that, where you control the assets, not entities that are not in your best interest. Now take out financial insurance and cryptocurrency. You have a plan B, you have an alternate income. This is going to be a build over the long haul, guys. This is about prudence. 65% of those 65 and older have less than 25,000 in retirement. Well, that number used to be $50,000 in retirement up until about 2008, when the stock market crashed, and in a 3-week period, people who had money in the stock market lost 46.3% of their retirement in a 3-week period. You're very limited when you have all your eggs in one basket, all your eggs in your company sponsored 401k or what have you, your peers or whatever financial vehicles that you're using to invest and retire with, a lot of that money is not in your control. A lot of that money, if you need liquid cash, you're going to pay an early withdrawal fee. You're going to pay fees for early withdrawal. Some of them have minimum requirements. I mean, very few people know that in a 401k, you can take out a loan for yourself and pay yourself back the interest. Those aren't things they're going to tell you, but you can do it. But to alleviate all that, to have diversification, to limit your exposure to devaluation, inflation, flat out fraud, you need to have cryptocurrency, in my opinion. It makes a lot of sense. So getting back to values, Visionary is that one-stop shop that we're going to bring on a lot of different things. It could be shopping malls. It could be branded merchandise. It could be mobile applications. Ladislav Pastor, 82 retail stores, made millions. He's got extensive knowledge of online brick and mortar, e-commerce, shopping center type things. We can bring on, because here's what allots us the ability to do just about whatever we want. The common denominator is money. And that money is Capricoin specifically, which is the distribution arm, Visionary. We are marketing the success to the people through Visionary. And as that membership grows, and oh, by the way, we're in the tens of thousands now, growing at about 200 a day. We've got 2 of the mobile apps completed in Visionary. We've got member-to-member transfer, and we submitted the merchant application that should be out in the next, I'm going to guess, couple of weeks. Now, as we are able to facilitate the movement of money through customers, peer-to-peer, and merchants, through Visionary membership, there's a likelihood that externally, as the movement of money happens, the external exchange, the value there, and all intent and purposes, should have an upward pressure to it. Because remember, we're building value of our coin, not through speculative investing, but by the use of it. We want to be that trusted, reliable cryptocurrency that's built for e-commerce, built for the end user. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to do that through mobile applications, through the customers, through the merchants. And oh, by the way, we learned a huge, huge lesson on penetrating merchants and new markets. There can't be a cost barrier. So we're going to make all of our mobile applications free. Yes, you heard it, free to merchants and customers. It'll have a loyalty program, a cashback program attached to it that will move even more money. This is about getting the coin out to as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. So is there great value in Visionary? Yes, I tell people, get in, hold a spot in genealogy. All of the products that we bring on in the future will have a commissionable value. And we all know by reading the comp plan that the commissionable value goes to infinity. So everybody in that line is going to benefit from the purchase of said product, whether it's 1,000 levels deep or 1 level deep. It'll affect everybody. Now, what you need to focus on is the minimum requirements. A silver package left and a silver package right gets you binary qualified. That's how you get in, get started making money. Because these statistics we're going to go through scream, you better have plan B and you better have it in a hurry, because I'm a firm believer after coming back from Acapulco and listening to some of the best minds in the world that talk about macroeconomics, diversification. Guys, the window of opportunity is now. That window and I guess I can't sugarcoat it. I believe that there's going to be some disruptive things happen probably around the 3rd quarter of this year. So you got a good 6-month window to come in, go to work, get your money diversified, get it out of the banks, get it into cryptocurrency, get it in a place where you own, control, and manage it. Because at the end of the day, what's going to make us successful, we don't have any mandatory auto ships. The common denominator, or at the end of the day, our product is, and after mining, it is money. So when we talk about MLM and what it is, taking a group of people to perform a function over a long period of time, we've got a group of people. The function that they're performing is educating themselves on how to diversify to a cryptocurrency online. 21% of all Americans have no savings account at all. That's disturbing. We've become a society of entitlements. It's more advantageous for mass amounts of people to live off the government than to go to work. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. Because all those entitlements are driving our indebtedness through the roof. We are insolvent. The dollar is dead. Learn it quick, guys. This isn't some MLM that we're selling some juice that's going to remove the third eyeball from your head. This is serious international business. This is something you need to take hold of and grasp like last week. Guys, everything that we do, some people said last week that I was yelling. Well, in my opinion, there's a difference between me yelling and me being passionate and me trying to get across my point of what 25 years of Wall Street's taught me. And what's that has taught me is, guys, the time to act is now. If you're not diversified 6 months, a year from now, you run a grave risk of losing everything you've worked so hard for, because we cannot continue to maintain status quo. Every single month we add more debt and debt and debt and debt and debt and debt. We can't do it. It won't sustain itself. It's gonna break. And if you're on the wrong side of that, I can't tell you, you're not gonna enjoy it. There's a reason we just flew 6,000 miles to go listen to complete strangers where we were the dumbest people in the room. We're looking at products to add to Visionary to help you diversify. I'm off to Hong Kong in about, 10 days, 15 days, something like that. And while I'm there, I'm going to learn how to open up an international savings account and diversify into the renminbi, the Hong Kong dollar, the Singaporean dollar. Guys, this is about looking at educational products. Once I figure out how to do it, once I make a contact, just like the contacts we made down in Acapulco, I'm going to start sharing these things. Some of these things will be a premium product that you might have to pay a couple of bucks. Other things I'm just going to give out for free. But these are things that you need to seriously consider. Visionary is much more than just cryptocurrency. Quit thinking of Visionary as a linear product. Quit negative selling against other cryptocurrency companies out there. Think of it this way. People always ask me, well, how are you different than this company? How are you different than this company? Are they legal? Or, you know what? Focus on Visionary and what we offer. Quit worrying about what everybody else is doing. There's certain guidelines set forth, IRS.gov here in the States, the SEC.gov, that clearly define what a cryptocurrency is. And it's defined as a fully functional blockchain. It's defined as having an external regulated exchange to settle all currencies and transactions. It's about doing things properly as best we can. There's other companies out there that are doing some type of payment processing, but they're not a cryptocurrency. Quit worrying about it. Don't negative sell anything. It never works out. You have a great opportunity for timing and Visionary. You have a great opportunity in the space we call cryptocurrency. You have a great opportunity to diversify yourself, to open up an online international savings account and digital currency that you own, maintain, and control. Guys, these are all part of the value proposition of Visionary. These are all things that are common sense. And now, and then the other thing, the big one. Why would I mine through, Visionary? Well, quite honestly, I went to work. I didn't whine and complain and say, oh, this company's doing this and whatever. It's an $80 trillion plus or minus industry. If we can go capture 1% of that market, everybody on this call could be a millionaire easily this year. Quit making up excuses. Go to work. Go build Visionary. Because at the end of the day, if you do that, guess what my Capricoin are costing me to mine? Nothing. It's free. I did it through work equity. If you want to be a speculative investor, go to the external exchange and buy as many of them as you want. Nobody can stop you from doing that. You know, you got to use a little common sense. If you put your money into something and you can't get it all back out the next day, I mean, hello, red flag. The median income of middle-class household adjusted for inflation has declined for 27 years. So since 1990, it's declined. Middle-class household dropped an astounding 28% between 2001 and 2. Guys, the standard of living is dropping. The value of your dollar is dropping. I think in the last 20 years, it's dropped 93, 95% of its value. We're bringing on precious metals, gold, i.e. silver, because they are stores of value. They are a hedge against inflation. Remember, Visionary is about diversification. It's not solely about mining. Now, was that our anchor product that we launched with? Absolutely. Is the timing still great? Yes. We've only distributed 10 or 15% of the coins. So we've got another 8.5 years that we're going to still distribute Capricoin. We're still going to mine Capricoin as a product. And along the way, we're going to add a whole bunch of other things that just plain make sense. I get so tired of the industry that's full of hype and nonsense. The companies are here one day, gone the other, and you see the people all the time. They jump from one company to the next, to the next, to the next. They stay in, they spend more than they make, and then they quit. And then they blame MLM for their failure. It doesn't have to be that way. When we looked at building Visionary, we specifically identified 4 or 5 different ways in Visionary that somebody could earn money, get into profitability without building a business. I will stack Visionary, the MLM, the platform up against any product platform and MLM in the world. And hands down, I will beat them to the curb. Period. There is nothing better than owning, controlling your own money, your own asset. Who cares if you can't build a business? You still have your asset, your insurance, your international savings account. Middle class take-home pay before expenses has plummeted 43%. Gross pay compared to 1970 when the middle class take-home was 62%. So we've lost another, 20% in just 30 years? There are still 900,000 fewer middle-class jobs in America than where we were when the recession began. Guys, if I believe to be true what's going to happen in the very near future, 2008 won't seem like that big of a deal. I firmly believe, and I hate to sow fear, and I don't like going down this road, but when you've been called to do something and share the word, spread the word, and try to protect as many people as humanly possible, cryptocurrency begs attention. It's here, it's now. If you don't understand it right now, that's okay. You will. Go to the websites, listen to the old webinars. You'll learn a whole bunch. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We're educating people. Even though we're on the precipice of the biggest movement of money from the public sector to the private sector, 9 out of every $10 is moved digitally right now. You just don't know it. If you've got a Visa, a MasterCard, Diners Club, American Express, a debit card, any of these cards that move money, that's all digital. The only difference now, we have the technology that we, the people, control our money instead of the banks. We use a blockchain technology called the XLM algorithm that allows us to be encrypted, to not be promulgated under central authority. It gives the power back to the people. That's exactly what we're doing. So, here's the scary one. 48% of all adults under the age of 30 believe the American dream is dead. When you have a currency that's built on faith, because in 1971, Nixon took us off the gold standard, and it has devalued ever since, every day, every hour since. Faith is the only thing that holds a currency. 4,000 currencies, 4,000 fiat currencies in the past have all gone bankrupt. Every single one of them, without any exceptions, every single one of them. And now this latest administration has spent more money than all presidents, all governing bodies of any and all countries throughout history in the last 8 years. We just doubled our indebtedness. We were at 8, now we're at, I think, close to 19. We just added $9 trillion. So go back to the slide where we talk about go that one. Okay, we know about inflation. Go to this one. That's the one. Will my kids be better off in 2015 and decades to come? The answer to that is no, because right now, if you look just in the United States and our $19 trillion, it's right around $125,000 per child of working age that is already in debt. Somebody is going to have to pay this $19 trillion back. You look at Social Security, you look at food stamps, you look at all the entitlement programs, you're talking about another 200 trillion with a T as in tango, trillion. 10 times what our indebtedness is in an unfunded liabilities. We have built an entitlement society, and it's very dangerous. Every great nation has failed, and it's failed because of greed. The elected officials, somewhere along the line, I don't know if they sacrificed their morals and ethics for greed and just flat out, but I can tell you one thing, history doesn't lie, and unfortunately we don't learn from our mistakes as humanitarily, and what word am I looking for? We repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again, and quite honestly, we're interconnected now. So people say, well, the United States dollar is the ones in debt. They're the ones that have all the problems. Well, we're the economic power of the world. More money moves in and out of the United States than any other country on the planet. Up until last year, we had the highest GDP, gross domestic product, till we were overtaken by China. We were the sole processor and owner and movement of all monies. Now we're being challenged by the Chinese and some of the pigs in the bloc countries. There's competing currencies that are going to be backed by gold. If there was ever a point in time in your life that you need to diversify and get out of the stock market and get out of the bank, not fully, guys. I'm not saying move everything that you own, but you better move a good portion of it. A good portion of it. You better have some cash in hand stuck in your shoebox in your closet at home. You better have some precious metals, and you better get them quick. Because once things happen and they move downward, you're too late. People tend to react instead of act and take charge and be proactive. You know, insurance is funny. You never need it till you need it. And by the time you figure out you need it, it's too late because you don't have it. Same thing with financial insurance. Don't follow the crowds. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe Wall Street setting records with, the highest return. It's returned 25% in the last 6 months of the last fiscal year. It's a bubble. And that bubble was created by, quite honestly, quantitative easing. They pumped $83 billion a month into the economy to stimulate it, to get back to the fear and the faith in the dollar, to make you think that everything's oh ho hum and everything's great and you're walking in the park and blah, blah, blah. That's exactly where they want you. And he who controls the money controls the people. And the sooner you realize that concept, the better off you're going to be. What is visionary? Visionary is that platform that's going to keep you out of a long soup line. Visionary is that platform that you can pass down assets to your kids because they're going to need it, and they're going to need it bad. We learned earlier in one of the webinars, we've got the highest credit card debt in humanity. We've got the highest student loan default, highest student loan on the planet, highest ever in history. These kids are going to school, racking up hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, not to be able to find a job, or not being willing to accept a job that doesn't pay them $250,000 a year. Why? Because they're entitlement babies. Everything's been given to them. They live in the lap of luxury. They don't know what hard work is. And I'm not just blaming the kids. These are behaviors that have conditioned, just like we're conditioned to pay ATM fees, bank fees, wire fees, credit card fees. It's time you stand up and you take control of your own financial destiny. If you don't do it and you plan on the government taking care of you, good luck with that. That's all I'm saying. Let's go back to 35. Okay. Where are we at? The rate of home ownership in the U.S. has steadily declined at 63%. That's a killer. If anything kills a Ponzi scheme faster, it's the lack of fractional banking, meaning the increased use and the expansion of currencies. Remember back when you heard the saying, too big to fail? Why they bailed out Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac that underwrite 92% of the home loans in the United States? You know why the government bailed them out? Because they are part of the arm of the government, as are the banks. Without lending money, they can't make any money. Without lending money, they can't expand the money supply, thus increasing or supporting this great Ponzi scheme that we call the banking system. It will come to a halt, and it'll come to a halt abruptly. And we talk about faith and friends and foes abroad. We were entrusted with a great responsibility, and we failed miserably. I listen to all these politicians on TV, everybody running their mouths. I don't hear anybody with any kind of solution. Take control, figure your own solution out. Do it for you, do it for your kids, do it for the other members of Visionary, where we collaborate together, we'll be successful together. The level of entrepreneurship in this country is at an all-time low. When we talked about corporate taxes, the encumbrances, the red tape, it's very difficult for a small business to be successful. There's so many things that it just kill a small business. That's why we're going to go in. That's why our apps don't cost any money. That's why we're going to do a loyalty program. They're proven to work. That's why we're going to add a loyalty program, a cash back for retention of the customer, that customer's value. We are joining forces with small businesses to make them successful, Visionary successful. It's a proprietary relationship. Each benefits customer, merchant, Visionary member, and oh yeah, the use of Capricoin, because the more everybody uses it, the better off the value will be. The U.S. ranks 19th in the world when it comes to median wealth per adult. The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. We're giving you an option that serves so many purposes in your life, in your planning, in your discernment. For each of the past 6 years, more businesses have closed than opened. Number one reason, undercapitalized. Second reason, taxes. Specifically, corporate taxes, highest in the world. We need to go in and we need to make our small business owners successful. And we're going to do that. We're going to bring them customers. We're going to help them out. They're going to help themselves out. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. The top 0.1% of all American families have as much wealth as the bottom 90% combined. What's that tell you? I can guarantee you the 90% or the 0.1%, they all own businesses. They're all entrepreneurs. They have all learned to leverage. Guys, it doesn't get any bigger and any better than the industry that we're on. The timing's great. You have a solution to the biggest problem and fear of most families throughout the world. How are they going to make more money? How are they going to limit their losses? Because it's coming. The banks are starting these bail-ins where they're just taking people's money. Forget asking. They're just taking now. Where are we at? If you have no debt and $10 in your pocket, you have greater net worth than 1 out of 4 Americans. And that's $10. That's a cup of coffee. Well, 2 at Starbucks. The number of Americans living in concentrated areas of high poverty has doubled since 2000. Guys, I can't stress this enough. I'm not yelling. I'm passionate. I know what I know. And I've been bestowed with the responsibility of educating as many people as possible. That's my calling. That's what we're doing. That's what we're going to continue to do. 1 out of 5 people live in poverty. 48% of 25-year-old Americans still live at home with their parents. Why? They went to school, they couldn't find a job. Or now they're too damn lazy to go get a job because they think they're worth more than what they are. I grew up on a farm baling hay for free. Try that in August in Ohio. You'll wish you had a job flipping hamburgers somewhere. It'll wear you out. 46 million Americans use food banks each year. I mean, I'm not against that. I'm great that we can help as many people, but there's an underlying theme. There's an underlying behavior that bothers me. Government's gotten too big. It's in every aspect of our life. They want to control every aspect, from how much we make, where we bank, how much we can move, what we eat, what we can't eat. And we want to get into food and all the nonsense there, and healthcare and GMO and all that different kinds of stuff. Guys, it's become a capitalist, socialist environment that makes it very, very difficult for us to succeed. And the government views it. I heard once an elected official say, if it wasn't for the fools in life, how could the rest of us succeed? And they were talking about us being the fools and them being successful. They control the money, they control us. The United States ranks 36th out of 41 of the wealthiest nations in child poverty. Now, you wouldn't believe that, but it's very true. Look around. The unemployment numbers in the labor equal 3 million. 70% of Americans believe that debt is a necessity in their lives. Granted, I believe some debt to some capacity, maybe for a home, and I say maybe because I'm a believer that the American dream, home ownership, as a primary residence, is an expenditure, not an investment. We learned that from 2008, when all the appreciation that was out of control for so many, a decade there. How do I know that? Because I owned a brokerage. I've done every kind of financial loan you could imagine. And we learned in 2008 as a primary property isn't necessarily an investment, meaning it's not guaranteed to go up in value like it has the past century. That even the real estate, real property can decline. Why did it decline? Well, that's a whole nother webinar, but the problem with that is, do you ever really own that house? Because you're always paying a tax. You're always paying a condo fee or a real estate fee or a property tax. What happened to capitalism? What happened to home ownership? Once you own the thing, you should own the thing. Shouldn't have to continue to pay taxes on it. So if you didn't pay your tax, even though you owned your house outwardly, do you think you own that? Absolutely not. That encumbrance could have them come take your home from you. Now, these are different concepts we won't get into, maybe at a later date. But debt as a necessity in their lives, I could see it right now that money's cheap. If you are financially in a place where you're out of debt, credit card debt, other types of debts. You go buy a car, yeah, you could go get a low car rate, and pay a monthly payment over a period of time. And we all know it's a depreciable item, but you need a car, I'm sure. But any other kind of debt, boy, oh boy, stay away from it. Debt is a sin. It'll keep you up at night. It'll make you worry. It will eat you from the inside out. I was in debt at one point in my life. Both Nicole and I are completely debt-free in any possible way, except for what, our cell phone bill? Maybe our cell phone bill. And now I'm forced to take Obamacare health insurance, so that expenditure is ridiculous, but that could be a whole nother overview as well. 53% of Americans don't have a minimum 3-day supply of non-perishable food and or water stored. Guys, it's about preparation. Okay, how do we get down to some more statistics here? Well, that's enough statistics. I'm not going to go through the rest of them. You get the picture. Let's go back to the slide share. You get the common denominator here, guys. Things have gotten volatile. Things have gotten very risky. People have made some very, very, very bad decisions. You have got at some point to take control of your own financial freedom, your own financial destiny. And one of those diversifications, because, like I said at the beginning, cryptocurrency, there's a future where I believe any cryptocurrency will be able to be exchanged for any other cryptocurrency and or fiat currency if need be. But no, the 6 major banks of the world are starting to adopt blockchain technology. There's games that are built off of blockchain technology. Any financial instrument or vehicle could use or implement blockchain technology. It is the future. There is no denying that whatsoever. Now, digital currency is the first improvement in money in 5,000 years. Bill Bonner, founder and president of Agora Publishing. He's also the guy that predicted the 2008 collapse. He's also the guy that predicted the, buy gold in 2002. He's also, time after time after time, if you don't follow this guy, follow this guy. As well as, Simon Black with Sovereign Man. We won't get into it tonight, but guys, engage in education. Engage in people that have lived and know about these types of things. Now, is everything you read and hear and say on the internet correct? No. But you can get a lot of information, a good, accurate, well-sourced, vetted information, like you're getting here, to the best of my ability. I'm no longer licensed. I used to be fully licensed. I surrendered that because I felt that I was part of the problem. I was part of the investment or financial world, whether it was loans or derivatives or securities or whatever I was doing. At one point we were selling a huge amount of annuities and life insurances. And maybe I was part of the problem. So we've identified a couple of problems. We've identified an MLM that mandatory product-based platforms are declining in volume, and they make up that 97% failure rate. That's the problem. So what did we do at Vizionary? We made it easy to qualify for commissions. We made it in such a way that people could earn 4 or 5 different ways without sponsoring. This is going to continue to put people in the best possible position to be successful. Can I guarantee it? No. But we can try, and maybe we change the statistics where 97% of the people are profitable. That's a great feeling to know you're protecting people, providing a platform for additional income, diversifying, bringing on additional products in the future that help them not only survive the next decade or two, because I believe it will be the most challenging we've seen in humanity. There's going to be some crazy stuff coming on. I can promise you that. but not only survive it, but to profit from it. That's the key. The future of money is digital currency, Bill Gates. With that said, for this moment, I've been talking a lot lately, so that's kind of my rant. That's my overview of what visionary is and where we are, where we're going. This is about more than just linear thinking, visionary, and mining. This is a group of educated, highly motivated people that understand the world and how the world responds and reacts and where it's going, because quite honestly, God has given us all the warnings and all the red flags to act. And unfortunately, people tend to react. And at that point in time, it's too late. The worst thing that can possibly happen is you get into visionary, you build a business, you earn some money, and hey, at the end of the day, you still own, maintain, and control your own asset. If you want to liquidate it, there's no fee to liquidate it. I think there's 0.25% to liquidate or cash it out on what, Coin Market Cap or some one of the exchanges. I think it's 0.25. But guys, when you start these mining packages, and some people say, well, it's better for me to go mine externally. I'll just go mine externally. And I say, okay, that's great. Understand that window closes at some point. And at some point, and some weeks, maybe it's a better value and it's less expensive to mine for Capricoin than buy them on the external exchange. So what I recommend to everybody is come in minimally at the silver package level. Come in, get your mining units. Only, I think it's 4 go automatically that very first week. The other units, you don't have to mine with those. There is no law or rule or regulation within Visionary that says you must mine your units as soon as possible, as fast as possible, or you must use your units to mine to earn commissions. There's no qualification at all. Hold on to the units. Maybe you apply them to an online shopping center, a mega mall that we're going to bring on in the future. Maybe you apply that to a precious metal. Maybe you apply that to a Roth self-directed 401k as a product. These are all different ideas and different things that are going to be products of the future of Visionary. So what I don't want to see is somebody to get discouraged and get disgruntled, if you will, by saying, daggone, I should have got a mining package and held a spot in genealogy 6 months ago, because now it's a much better value to mine than it is to buy it off the external exchange. I wish I'd have kept my spot. And oh, by the way, in the last 6 months, well, this has happened to us a couple of times. We got into a company. We worked it for about 6 months. It wasn't what we thought. It needed a whole lot of changes and improvements. And we showed up a year later because we heard they had improved the platform, made the necessary changes to make it viable. We had 12,000 people on our downline, and it was sitting there accumulating commissionable value. Think about that. So there's a lot of value in these packages, specifically holding that spot in genealogy. You know, one of the companies that I make up, I don't know, I've got hundreds of thousands of people in there. If I wouldn't have got a spot and I would have waited a year later, I'd have lost 90% of those. Now, are all those people engaged? No. But at the end of the day, remember, there is no mining requirement to earn commissions. It's a turnkey, international, global business that's going to be highly valuable in the products and services, and most of all, educational services like this webinar that you can take advantage to, tap into. We're not going to offer anything that I don't do myself, that I'm not buying myself, that I'm not moving money into. If I say I'm going to go open up a Singaporean, Hong Kong, whatever it might be, I'll show you what I did. I'll tell you who I talked to. with that said, my voice has about had it, but I'm going to let Nicole, or ask Nicole to finish off here. But that's what we're doing. Hopefully that helps you with the overview of what truly visionary is, where we're going, and a couple of shout outs to a bunch of people. Next week we're going to have Luca Damianoff on the overview call. He's got some great contacts. He brought us a friend of a friend, introduced me to Gary Connor, who's the third party advisor to Visionary. He's the CEO and owner of Altcoin Today. It's a news publication worldwide, cryptocurrency neutral, or was at the time. He's kind of partial now to Visionary because he believes we are CoinDust, the people's coin. He loves what we're doing. He's on board. He's a paid Visionary member, bought a package just like the rest of us. When somebody of his magnitude and knowledge comes in as an affiliate, like all of us, I mean, that's a feather in the cap. We were the first MLM with a distribution arm to be on the external exchanges, and we haven't even launched a mobile app yet. You compare us to Bitcoin, where they were in their first 8 months, they were still at a quarter of 1 cent. It took them 2.5 years to get to $1. We're way ahead of the growth curve, guys. Once we go smack this in the mouth, get some money moving, open up the mobile application so we have the ability to facilitate the movement of that. We integrate systems, bring on new products, and all these products are going to accept Capricoin. Even the marketing system that we're going to bring out here in the next couple of weeks, you're going to be able to use Capricoin to buy it on a monthly basis. And it's not $100 or something. It's very inexpensive. I think $20-$30. That's it. So that is visionary from my standpoint, from my perspective. So for those of you that don't know, my partner, who I call the boss around here, is Nicole Peterson. She's highly educated, knowledgeable of these things. I guess she's listened to me rant for 4 or 5 years. So she's got a great base, great background. She's an award-winning marketer of her own. So with that said, she's going to close out the call and talk a couple more slides here. But I'm gone for now. I'll be heading back to the States here Tuesday, and then I think I'm off the following week to Hong Kong to conduct some business and some training with our Asia group that's absolutely it's crushing it. It's just off the charts. And in our absence, when we were in Acapulco, I know Scott Schummer and Patrick Moore did some great videos and training. And I can't help, I got to call out Caleb Wright. Caleb Wright has done some phenomenal things in the Skype chat room with technical questions and been in there, it seems like 24 hours a day, helping us out, helping support the Visionary membership and platform. So I appreciate y'all. And Nicole, if you will, close us out.
Thank you, Andy. Well, there you have it. Another powerful call by Andy. So I'm glad we went over this again. He actually did this call on Wednesday, and unfortunately we couldn't get it recorded. We were down in Acapulco at the time, and we were on screen trying to show a sunset, but it didn't all work out. But it was a great call, and we had a lot of requests to have it recorded. So it is recorded tonight. We'll get it out to everybody. I think one of the reasons that I actually love Visionary is there's actually 12 different ways that you can actually earn commissions or earn money with Visionary, and 5 of them are without any recruiting or any sponsoring. So if you're that one person who loves this idea, this concept of securing, protecting, as well as profiting from what we call the next digital revolution, but you're not quite sure if you can build a business or you've had struggled in the past. Well, number one, we're here to help. We've got some marketing tools coming up, and we've got some great leaders who know a lot about marketing who will be able to train you on that as well and help you grow your business. But even with all of that, you've still got 5 ways that we can profit from this, and it is going to happen. I do see possibly, I know Andy had mentioned the third quarter of this year is the time frame that we've got to sort of start protecting ourselves. And I do see that a lot of the specialty speakers that we saw down in Acapulco, we're talking September, October, is probably when the next, the next downfall or great big recession may happen, which will also be the greatest wealth transfer in history. And I do mean that. It's coming. And it's a little bit sooner than we all planned or thought. I was kind of hoping I had a little bit more time as well. But it's around the corner, so you want to start today. You don't want to leave this till tomorrow. Get started today and just start sharing it with people and helping people. That's what we're doing. We're a community that is helping people protect and save any assets, turning your fiat currency into just a digital format, but something that you manage, control, and own. And that's the most important part. Because in the article that I read last month, which was shocking to me and I didn't know, was that when you put your money into the bank, you don't own that money. Legally, the bank owns your money. Well, you think it's your money. It's not. It's the bank's money. So that's why we talk about having cash on hand, whether it's in your home, have about 2 months savings just in case. That cash will be valuable. Digital currencies that we can use on a mobile phone, smartphone, are going to be key to helping pay at merchants, hopefully Capricoin merchants in the future, for those everyday items that we need. That will become important. So we welcome you. We hope you get started. Get back to the person who introduced you to this webinar. Thank you so much for attending tonight. And with that, Andy and I are signing off and wish you a good night. And just one other thing, if you want any more information, we've got a public Facebook group. It's just called Visionary. Just search Visionary and you'll be able to get in there if you have any more questions. There's tons of leaders within that group that will be able to help you and support you. All right, so take care and have a good night, everyone.